Right now, oil prices at some of their lowest levels since March as Secretary of State Marco Rubio meets with Gulf allies in the Middle East, and President Trump keeps the pressure on Iran to allow for nuclear inspections. Our correspondent Jeff Paul is live for us. He's in Tel Aviv. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, John. Well, yeah, President Trump says this is a case of Iran agreeing to a deal, putting it in writing, and then in the public saying that it isn't true. President Trump insists that Tehran has agreed to allow those nuclear inspectors into the country, and the UN agency that would oversee that process agrees with him.
Paragraph 8 of this Memorandum of Understanding says explicitly that the nuclear activities that are going to be carried out with regards to the nuclear material facilities and will be supervised by the IAEA.
Iranian officials say any inspections would only come after a final deal is signed and is not a part of the original 60-day memorandum of understanding. But it's not just the inspections at the center of these contradictory statements between the U.S. and Iran. There's also some confusion regarding Israel's ongoing conflict with the Iranian-backed group Hezbollah in Lebanon. And Iran is also telling a different narrative regarding its frozen assets. U.S. officials say that money would go towards buying American-made products, but Iranian officials say they will decide how it's spent. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, while traveling in the Persian Gulf today, says they want to make this work. He's pushing for inspectors in Iran as soon as possible and also has tried to clear up any confusion Tehran might have regarding this agreement.
Them to live up to the commitments they made in Switzerland. If they don't live up to those commitments, the president has a lot of options at his disposal, including, I'm not saying he's going to do it, I'm saying including reversing these sanctions.
Now, Rubio also says those talks between Israel and Lebanon regarding the ongoing conflict between Israeli forces and the Iranian-backed group Hezbollah is also continuing. John?
Yeah, so I just read paragraph 8 again, and it says that the IAEA can supervise the downblending of the enriched uranium, but leaves out the idea of inspection. So Iran will likely to continue arguing that point. We'll see. Good to talk to you, Jeff Paul. Thanks. Jillian?
Meanwhile, Iran's citizens are facing an increasingly brutal crackdown at the hands of the regime. More than 150 political dissidents have been executed just since this war began a couple of months ago. 6,000 other Iranians have been detained on trumped-up charges and summarily imprisoned. But even in the shadow of that fear, Iranian women are continuing to defy the regime. We have new images. You can see them on your screen from Tehran. They show women of many different ages openly ditching the mandatory hijab, an act of resistance with sometimes terrifying consequences. Let's bring in Dr. Sheila Nazarian. She fled Iran as a child during the revolution. Doctor, thanks so much for being with us. This is a quote from an Iranian teen, a young girl, to CBC News, who says, "I think that if I am going to live the final seconds of my life, I want to live it the way I want." And this is connected to the courage of Iranian women, still confronting a dictatorial government by any means. That's profound, and she's only 16 years old.
Yeah, Jillian, I think what we're seeing, this is not a rebellion against a hijab or, a fashion statement. The people of Iran are no longer buying what the regime is selling. And what the hijab means to these women in Iran is government control. Imagine waking up every morning and having to put a symbol of Islamic extremism on your body every day, Jillian, by force. The women in Iran are so brave. We've seen the morality police step it back up. We've seen the execution of political dissidents stepped up every single day in Iran. So while we're trying to negotiate with this regime, while we're trying to bring down oil prices here in America, every single day, it's so sad to know that people, young people just like this one, are being killed and publicly executed.
I mean, these women, these young women, these girls are on the front lines of this fight. It also bears mentioning now, about 4 years since the blatant murder of Mahsa Amini for wearing the hijab incorrectly. This is heavy on everybody's minds. Why this makes this particular act of defiance so poignant, I think.
Yes, Jillian, my family, we escaped under gunfire by Iranian border police when I was 6 years old. Me and my sister, my parents wanted to safeguard our future and bring us to America where we would have, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of dress, all of the things that, you know, we enjoy and take for granted sometimes here in America. The women of Iran just want simple human rights, and the men too at this point, and every economic class. 90% of the Iranians want freedom from this tyrannical regime that has had an iron grip. And Jillian, this regime, they're not afraid of America, they're not afraid of Israel, they are afraid of their own people. And that's why we see a ratcheting up of, you know, violence and, you know, all of this morality police stuff happening right now against the Iranian people. They're desperate and they're taking it out on their own people.
It's an important reminder that when we talk about the Iran nuclear negotiations, these are the people that the Trump team is negotiating with. The people who summarily detain, imprison people without charges, execute them. Sheila, it's a very important reminder for us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.